Good morning. I'm Vince Kinsler, the President and Executive Director of the Parkinson Association of Greater Daytona Beach, and I'd like to welcome you all to our interactive online webinar series, You, Me, and PD, with today's program titled From Social Distancing to Conscious Connection. What an exciting and appropriate title for the times that we're currently living in. In 2006, after recognizing several years of compounded stress taking its toll on her health and quality of life, she decided to enroll in a mind, body, and spirit rejuvenation program at the Chopra Center in Carlsbad, California, where she learned how to meditate. That endeavor turned out to be life-changing for her as she pursued learning how these disciplines and practices could be employed to help others improve their health and well-being. Today, her passion for helping others discover the wellness benefits of meditation, mindfulness, and yoga is not lost on the Parkinson's community. In her studies, she discovered certain related components in the brains of people with Parkinson's relative to those same areas in the brain positively impacted by the practice of meditation and mindfulness. In 2018, she launched a series of successful programs that were instituted across the Central Florida Parkinson's community, including both the Parkinson Association of Central Florida as well as the Parkinson Association of Greater Daytona Beach. She is a McLean Meditation Institute certified meditation and mindfulness instructor, a Yoga Alliance registered yoga teacher, and founder of Winter Park Meditation and Mindfulness. Please join me in welcoming our presenter today, our dear friend, Tracy Wosaba.
Thank you so much, Vince, and thank you for having me here today, and thank you for joining us on this Zoom webinar. So as we get started today, I invite you to all join me in a Peace Finder practice. So if you want to settle in comfortably wherever you are in this moment in time, I invite you to join me in taking 3 long, slow, deep cleansing breaths. I now invite you to bring your awareness to and relax 3 areas in your body, whether that be your scalp, your jaw, your shoulders, your neck, your hips, whatever that may look like for you in this moment. And I now invite you to bring to mind 3 things for which you're grateful in this moment in time. No matter how big or small, it all counts. Now, if your eyes are closed, I invite you to slowly and gently open them and return your awareness back to your room, and back to the screen. That feels right for you. So as Vince shared, I have been a meditator, practicing meditation and mindfulness in my own life since 2006. And it has given me my life back in so many astounding ways and allowed me to have a whole new perspective on life and living. And I'm so grateful to share that with you all today. I'm going to start out by sharing kind of an overview of what we're going to do today. I'm going to share with you what meditation and mindfulness actually is for those that might be newer to the world of meditation and mindfulness. I'm going to share some of the benefits, both for the population as a whole, as well as those specific ones based on studies for individuals living with Parkinson's. And I'm going to share with you how and why meditation works. We're going to have a little break for some questions. We're going to talk about 3 key points and practices that I have developed and that has helped me tremendously get through this period of COVID-19 uncertainty, and also certainly moving from social distancing to conscious connection, with that conscious connection first and foremost being within ourselves, because how we show up affects everything outside ourselves. And then we'll be doing some other questions, and then I'll be leading through a guided meditation and then some final questions before we close. So let's go ahead and get started with what is meditation and mindfulness. So meditation actually has roots in yogic tradition. So for those of you out there listening that are already practicing yoga, both meditation and mindfulness are 2 of the 8 limbs of yoga. So often when individuals start a asanas or postures, yoga practice, we often hear about the postures and about the breathing, but outside of, relaxing in shavasana, at the end of our practice, maybe, we hear very little about meditation and mindfulness. So meditation is both an ancient and a modern practice that calms the mind and really boosts the nervous system. And it builds a better brain. It allows us to be more focused, engaged, aware, more responsive, and less reactive in everyday life and living. The word meditation actually originated from the word medere, which is a Latin word, and it means to heal. Many of you might have heard about meditation now as being considered complementary and alternative medicine. And again, because it does calm the nervous system and build a better brain, that's essentially the reasons why it can fall under those categories now. And because it has the ability to reach and enhance every area of life. Again, we're going to, in a moment here, we're going to talk about more of the benefits, but it has the ability to reach us from a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual perspective. Mindfulness. It seems like I can't turn on the TV anymore and without hearing the word mindfulness once or twice, and certainly during the current times of uncertainty, which, I have to point out, I want to validate, whatever you're feeling during these times of uncertainty is important. And, and I love the Anai Nin quote, and that goes something like, let's see here, it says, we see things as not as they are, but as we are. So certainly all of our experiences that have brought us to this moment in time have in fact a huge impact on our thoughts, our feelings, and emotions. So again, I want you all to know out there, you're not alone in whatever you're thinking, and I want to normalize whatever you're thinking if that's right for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. No judgment here. And speaking of judgment, one of the aspects of mindfulness, which of course is both a type of meditation as well as a way of living in which we're more fully engaged with our senses in the present moment. But there's a variety of aspects of mindfulness, and non-judgment is one of them. And one of the ones I personally have had to practice probably more than many of the others in this time of uncertainty. And so a few of the other areas of mindfulness are just showing up with a sense of curiosity and openness and awareness. Actually, awareness is one of my, probably the first recognized benefits when I started meditating and practicing mindfulness, but actually one of my favorites because practicing meditation and mindfulness builds more awareness in everyday life and offers me the choice to be with that instead of moving away from, and to decide what choices I'm going to make to calm my nervous system. As far as the benefits of meditation and mindfulness, there are so many, but I'm going to kind of give you an overview. Meditation and mindfulness has been scientifically proven to reduce stress, to reduce anxiety, to reduce depression. With anxiety and depression, there's often a drop in some neurochemicals in our brain in which meditation mindfulness actually boosts. Meditation mindfulness, a regular practice, has been known to improve sleep, digestion, focus, immunity. Again, we're moving from a state of stress into a state of relaxation and invoking the parasympathetic rest and digest response. So all those happy healing hormones are being pumped out in our body, when we're in that calm, relaxed state. It also increases overall health, well-being, and relationships with both ourselves and others. And additional benefits for Parkinson's, science has proven through studies that it has improved cognition and motor function. It has also decreased tremors. There's also been shown a reduction in off episodes, certainly reduced muscle tension, again, because we're able to be with ourselves in a whole different way and, actually consciously relax our bodies. It's also been known to improve balance in our life and, again, improve relationships, which certainly is worth noting again, as well as communication. Because we are more in touch with ourselves. It's that balance between the inner and the outer world. How and why does meditation work is the next question that I have to share with you all, to answer for you all, I should say. And when we are in a calm, relaxed, meditative state, we're actually moving from the sympathetic nervous system, which is often known as the fight, flight, or freeze nervous system, into a more relaxed rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. So often when folks talk to me about meditation and mindfulness and they want to start their own practice, or maybe they're concerned about starting their own practice, it seems like the number one thing everyone shares is, I have too many thoughts and I can't stop thinking. But that's exactly right. And it's the nature of the mind to think, like it's the nature of the eyes to see. So with meditation, we're actually not stopping the thoughts, but we're interrupting the thoughts. I love the Deepak Chopra quote that says, meditation is not about quieting the mind. It's about connecting to the quiet that's already there, buried beneath the approximate 50,000 thoughts the average person thinks on a daily basis. So again, we are interrupting the thoughts with the focus of meditation, whatever that focus may be in that moment of your meditation. And it allows the mind to organically settle down and move into a more calm, relaxed state. When we meditate, we are also slowing down the brain waves from a busy beta brainwave state that we often operate in everyday life when we're in our doing mode, into a more relaxed being mode, with often alpha theta comes along with that. And with meditation is actually a calm, restful, alert awareness. And certain types of meditation are actually the equivalent of allowing the body to take a nap, although it's more of an alert awareness, meaning if, for example, I was guiding you through a yoga nidra meditation, you might feel like you're falling into a state of almost sleep because you're in such a restful state. But really, if you can still hear the sound of my voice, that would be an example of an alert awareness. I'm going to move into the 3 key points and practices that I've developed that have helped me through this time of uncertainty, and I certainly will carry with me throughout other times. Also, with each of my key points, I'll be offering a contemplative meditation practice, as well as a mindful momentum moment experience. And these, the contemplative practice, as well as the mindful momentum experience, will be included on the Parkinson's Association of Greater Daytona Beach website under the mindfulness tab, and also included in the upcoming newsletter, which will be issued sometime in early June. But the first thing I want to talk about in this time, and any times of uncertainty, and really speaking of times of uncertainty, I think one of the things that I can share personally that has created more stress for me, but also it's a reminder of the impermanence of life as a whole, which again has thrown me back into wanting to practice meditation and mindfulness even more, to savor the moments that we have when we have them. So my first point is to reconnect. And what I mean by reconnect is getting back to the basics of home within yourself and within your world, and recognizing what does that look like for you. And the practice that, the contemplative practice, and for those of you that enjoy journaling, this is a great, the contemplative practice is a great way to carry that out. If you don't want to take the time to journal, or that's not comfortable for you, even taking the time to first and foremost connect with yourself, take 3 long, slow, deep breaths, whatever that looks like for you. Relax your body, connect to the seat upon which you're sitting, and asking yourself the questions, and just seeing what comes to mind, honoring whatever it is. But my first question for reconnect is, what do I need to nourish myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually today? And this is probably one of my favorite practices, because, and often how I begin my days, especially if I wake up and I feel extra stress in my body. And by the way, with meditation and mindfulness, of course, we all experience stress from time to time, but really, if we're not taking the time to alleviate the stress, that's when it wreaks havoc in the nervous system. It kind of becomes like dust in the nervous system, or static in the nervous system. And it doesn't allow our bodies to act and to perform in optimal ways. So again, back to the contemplative question, what do I need to nourish myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually today? And just taking a few moments with that practice, it's really powerful and can really set the tone for your day. And honoring whatever comes up without judgment, and just being curious about it. Maybe questioning, if that feels right for you. And just kind of going with it and seeing how you can implement, one or all of those things throughout your day, and just recognizing what a difference it makes for you. Maybe noticing any changes in your body, in your breathing, in your thoughts, in your interactions with others as well. The mindful moment experience that I love for this one, and again, these are things that really only take, the mindful momentum experiences only take about 1 to 2 minutes tops. So really, this is something that you can do throughout your day. But again, in an effort to reconnect with yourself and the world around you, reconnecting with your senses, noticing the things that you see, that you hear, that you feel, that you taste, that you smell, and noticing what's good for you in that moment. So again, the mindful momentum experience and that I offer you all today is taking a moment to connect with your breath, taking a few long, slow, deep breaths. Actually, let's do it together today. Maybe let's take 1 long, slow, deep breath. I now invite you to connect with 3 things you see in your environment. Now letting that go, I invite you to connect with 3 things you hear. And maybe one of those is the sound of your own breath. Now letting that go, I invite you lastly to connect with 3 things that you feel. That could be the area in which your body meets the surface upon which you're sitting or reclining. That could be the clothes against your skin, the air against your skin, or your breath moving in and out of your body, and felt sensations associated with the breath, or something else altogether. Now letting that go, I invite you to bring your awareness back to the room and to this webinar. My next key point that has been really helpful for me in these times, I want to share with you all today, is to take the time to reevaluate. Reevaluate, and actually I'll share my contemplative journaling question with you on this one. And that is, two-part question. And that is, what's really important in my life? Or what brings me joy? Another way of saying the same thing. And what is it adding to my life? And for me, that was a really big part two of that, is recognizing what it's added to my life. And which brings me to more information surrounding reevaluating, recognizing, is the routine that I've had in place up to this time really working for me anymore? Or is it an outdated system that really doesn't work for me anymore? And recognizing any thoughts, feelings, underlying narratives that might come to mind, recognizing, maybe it might be time to develop a new routine or incorporate more self-care into my routine. Of course, one of the things that, we were all able to do and encouraged to do throughout this period of time was to get out and connect with nature. And I have to share, I've always allowed nature to be my guide. I mean, even with the changing seasons, I think nature has so much to offer. I think of the fall, and I look around me, and to me, it's a season of letting go. The winter, a time just to rest and relax, and how ironic that a lot of things, in our current state began around the winter. And now, of course, we're in the spring and a time to, plant and allow things to blossom and grow, and then the summer to enjoy them all. And again, I'm so in awe of nature, and and again, just the beauty of nature. So a walking meditation, getting out and walking in nature and doing things more mindfully is also a great way to reevaluate and connect with yourself and to see what really matters in life, and doing the things you love mindfully. And one of the ways I do a walking meditation is when I go out in nature, I connect with my breath. I feel all of my foot press firmly into the earth. And then I begin to look around. I connect with the things I see and I hear and I feel. And especially this time of the year, I'm in North Carolina, in Greensboro, North Carolina. This beautiful fragrance of the magnolias is like almost overwhelming. It's so amazing. It was roses a month ago, and now it's magnolias. Sometimes it's so fragrant I can almost taste it as well. So just really taking in and connecting with all my senses as I move, and that sense of mindfulness, practice of mindfulness, can be done with anything that we all enjoy doing, or is a necessity. For example, even bathing. Taking a shower, when we turn on the water, feeling the water hit our skin, noticing the temperature of the water, noticing how it feels in different areas of our body, noticing the smell of the soap, the lathering up of the soap, and so on and so forth. For those that enjoy cooking, and cooking is so amazing. Our bodies are so innately and finely tuned that actually it's been proven that our bodies start creating the digestive enzymes as we touch our food, meaning as we're chopping up our food and so on and so forth in cooking. So again, just really being with, connecting with the colors, the textures, the temperatures of the food, recognizing any thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations that arise. And, just because we have a thought doesn't mean we need to believe that thought. The thought can be questioned. Again, also, an aspect of mindfulness that I love so much is the sense of empowerment. So if you don't like something, you're with it, you have the option to change it. So connecting with yourself, standing in your power, and doing something that does work for you, that brings you more peace and takes you away from the aspect of suffering. Speaking of suffering, one of my teachers, he says, Shinzenyang, he says, suffering is pain, time, resistance. And just bringing our awareness to what we're resisting in life that's keeping that suffering in place can be so profound. So recognizing those things and, making a change is, again, part of reevaluating, and not putting off till tomorrow what you can do today. Certainly as it pertains to things that we can do within our own home environment, first and foremost, and as well as in our outside world. And, the brain is constantly making associations. So one of the aspects of reevaluation I love is to go around my home, about every 6 months and just taking the time to make sure that everything in my home is either something that I need or something that brings me joy. And in which case, a lot of the times they're one and the same. Having the things that I need that also bring me joy. So really recognizing our needs, our wants, our values, our desires, and making sure that our current situation is in accordance with those things as much as it possibly can be. The third point and final point is rebalance. And for rebalance, the contemplative practice and question I have is, how does harmony look, feel, sound, taste, or smell in this moment for you? And again, making any appropriate adjustments. And what are we rebalancing? So certainly our parasympathetic, and our sympathetic nervous system, so that rest and digest aspect, along with, so we're restoring focus and balance in everyday life and not staying in the sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze aspects of our nervous system. And also balancing our outer journey with our inner compass for our gut feelings. It also allows us to connect differently, with the world around us. And I just realized I need to take a step back to number 2, because I did not share the mindful momentum experience question for that one. And that is, and I invite you to join me with this again. Let's take 2 long, slow, deep breaths now. With your eyes open, closed, or downward gaze, I invite you to bring to mind a time when you felt loved, appreciated, and of pure bliss for joy. And just notice what happens in your body. You might notice a sense of calm or peace come over you. You might notice a change in your energy level, or something else altogether. So just being with that in this moment for about the next 15 or 20 seconds. Now letting that go. Back to our point number 3, rebalance. And the mindful momentum practice I have for that is the practice of breath. When we're breathing, we're activating that rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system, often through the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve in our body. Vagus, also known as the wanderer, it actually connects to our brainstem and reaches pretty much every major organ in our body, allowing us to, digest our food better, to pump out those happy healing hormones. It reduces, I should say, balances our blood pressure, our blood sugar, and so many more things. So I'd like to share 3 different breath practices with you today. And the first one is the heart center breath. And I'm going to back up a little bit so everyone can see me. I'm going to place one hand over my heart space and the other hand on top. And I'm going to see, feel, or imagine breathing in and out of my heart space as I breathe for the next 5 breaths. Now letting that go. Heart center breath has been known to enliven the qualities of the heart, the qualities of love, the qualities of intuition. It's also been said that the heart is 5,000 times more electric and magnetic than the brain. And so really heart center breathing can really connect us and bring us back into the moment in a whole new way. The second practice of breath I would like to offer is the long, slow, deep breath. We practice this several times throughout. So I'm not going to review this right now because we'll do this again as part of our guided meditation. And the third practice of breath for rebalancing that I'd like to share is the alternate nostril breath, also known as Nadi Shodhana. And in that practice, I'm actually going to take off my glasses here and do it in a way that feels comfortable for you. Kind of the traditional way is to use the 2 fingers, kind of placing this on the forehead, which actually happens to be a calming acupressure point. I'm going to use my thumb to cover my right nostril. I'm going to breathe in through my left nostril. Now I'm going to use my ring finger to cover my left nostril and breathe out through my right. Now in through my right. Covering my right, breathing out through my left. In through my left. Covering my left, out through my right. If it's more comfortable for you to do it this fashion, certainly do whatever works for you. And I'll just do it that way this time. And I'm going to breathe in through my left nostril. Gentle pause at the top. Cover the left and out through the right. One more time. Now letting that go. Not only does that practice calm the nervous system, but it also has been proven to help balance both hemispheres of the brain so we can operate in a better way. Let's see. So at this point, I'm going to pause and see if, Christina, do we have any questions?
We do not have any questions from our attendees, but I have a question. Is there any time that you feel is better for doing any of these exercises, or just when you start to feel yourself kind of revving up?
That's a great question. And certainly I've offered a lot of different options for practices. So as far as a more formal practice of meditation, and certainly these contemplative practices can be considered a formal practice. First thing in the morning is a great time to start and really set the tone for the day. Also too, when you're feeling yourself in a state of stress, and also in the evening as well as, before sleep, it's a great way to calm the nervous system and allow your body to start pumping out those happy healing hormones, including melatonin, so we can all fall asleep better and sleep longer and get those benefits that sleep offers. Because by the way, sleep is the #1 way to dissolve or alleviate stress hormones in our body. So really, first thing in the morning, sometimes people will, do something before lunch, and what a great thing to do, because again, eating in a state of relaxation will allow us to digest our food better, and then before bed. But with and the reason I wanted to share more of a formal practice as well as a mindful momentum moment is because with the mindful momentum moment, things like that can be done anytime, anywhere, but obviously not while driving. So, yes.
That's perfect. And that's it for the questions on my end. I don't know if Vince has any at the moment.
Yeah, I do have a question, Tracy. Thank you. It kind of got answered, I think, but earlier you had mentioned that it was scientifically proven that meditation and mindfulness reduce a number of things that really afflict all of us at one given time or another. anxiety, depression, sleep, digestion, focus, immunity, balance, communication, and even relationships. And I was just wondering, are there actual clinical studies that confirm positive impacts of meditation and mindfulness and its effects on the brain?
Absolutely. There's all of the studies seem to originate around the 90s, but there's more and more studies all the time. So really just Googling clinical studies and benefits, anyone, anywhere can certainly see, yes, there's hundreds of studies that have been done. And I want to talk specifically on anxiety and depression, which certainly is something that anyone can experience, but certainly is something, with Parkinson's. The two key elements associated with reducing and why meditation works with that is the body is increasing the serotonin and the norepinephrine, which typically when there are situations we're experiencing anxiety and or depression, they're the first things that drop, or that's a big part of why individuals experience anxiety and or depression. And also too, just bringing ourselves back in the moment, connecting with our senses. A lot of times when our body is in one place and our mind's in another, it's almost as if we're living in two different worlds. And that in itself can create anxiety and depression sometimes. And, with depression often, our thoughts are in the past, or, we have fears of the past and or the future. And, but yes, to make a long story long, absolutely. There's there's hundreds of studies out there, everyone from Harvard, UCLA, and certainly other countries as well. I know there's been, at least one noted study on Parkinson's and mindfulness and meditation done in Belgium. So yes, many, to answer your question.
Well, yeah, thank you for that. And I know, actually, not necessarily a question here, but moreover, you had actually turned me on to a book, and forgive me, I believe it was How God Changes Your Brain.
Right.
And I know there was a lot of studies that involved PET scans where they were actually using the scans after giving people guided meditation practices. Quite simple, but they obviously required some discipline and consistency. And these individuals were based right on the PET scans. Not only were they feeling and acting better as a result of those practices, but the PET scans actually proved that to play out. And the other thing too, I wanted to mention, again, not a question, moreover, just a comment, because especially when you speak in terms of meditation and mindfulness helping us with anxiety and depression, I can first-handedly say, everybody experiences maybe not so much depression, although many people do. Others maybe just a lower degree melancholy or even apathy, whereby that practice for me, because like all other human beings, I do exhibit those types of feelings from time to time. And I do know personally that when I'm practicing meditation in particular, that is reduced. But again, off the chart a little bit here, I just wanted to mention in that book, it had mentioned the part of the brain, I think it's deep in the brain, the amygdala, if I'm not mistaken, whereby this is like probably one of the first formed components of the brain, going way back to probably Cro-Magnon or the cavemen types, where that was a big part of their brain. And that is wherein lies the anxiety factor, if I'm not mistaken, because back in those days, that was a very profound part of their life. They actually needed to access fight or flight more than any other time in our probably current history, human history, in the sense that they're down by the watering hole trying to gather some nuts, and all of a sudden there's some huge tiger coming up behind them. Boy, they got to figure things out pretty quick. But
Exactly.
Again, I think that is the preface, if you will. I think the part of our brain that actually creates our current anxieties. But I don't know if I'm paraphrasing here or not, but anyways.
No, that's very true. And actually, so as far as the stress response is a life-saving protective mechanism from those days of old, like you shared, where, the days of the saber-toothed tiger, where it was eat or be eaten type situation. And, back then, those areas of our brain needed to be large, quite frankly, because we always needed to be on alert, and because it really was a matter of survival. And so the three areas that are typically across the board in the studies, and by the way, the studies are typically done in 8-week segments, many of them anyway, and with individuals meditating an average of 20 to 40 minutes a day, and in as little as 8 weeks, fairly consistently across the studies, they're finding that the brain is changing in 3 primary areas. And that is, number one, the amygdala, like you shared, and that is the area most often, the emotional processing center of the brain. The area that works with that prefrontal cortex, which is the next area that we're going to talk about, the executive center of the brain. And that executive center of the prefrontal cortex area of our brain allows us to process logic, reason, emotion, appropriate emotion, planning, carrying out of the plan. And then also the hippocampus is the other primary area that's typically listed in many of these studies. And that's the area of the brain responsible for learning, memory, converting short-term memories into long-term memories. A few other areas of the brain, the insula and the anterior cingulate, are other areas that are hugely affected. And actually the anterior cingulate acts as a fulcrum in between the logical prefrontal cortex, logical rational prefrontal cortex, as well as the fear-based or emotional processing amygdala center of our brain. So like for example, in individuals with post-traumatic stress disorder, the amygdala is huge in their brain. And often the prefrontal cortex is not as developed. And really, anytime we experience a state of stress or fear, and take the moment, that's few seconds in between the stimulus and the response, take a long, slow, deep breath and make a different choice, we actually begin to have that opportunity to create new neural pathways and build the gray matter density in our prefrontal cortex, and to shrink and not use the amygdala quite as much, which can keep us in a state of fear. Because if we're constantly in a state of fear, anxiety, depression, and so on and so forth, something happens that's called the amygdala hijack. And literally it can take over in a way that it keeps us almost in a constant state of fight, flight, or fear. So again, taking the time to do that. And of course, movement is so important, as part of all of this, especially in Parkinson's, whether it's boxing or walking or stretching or whatever it is. And actually, science has proven that exercise actually helps create an enzyme that, when the enzymes lay down, allows new neural pathways to be built more effectively.
Thank you so much. I'm going to click off now and let you continue. I'm looking forward to something that you're going to be coming up with here, guided meditation, but go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's move into the guided meditation portion, and I'm going to be sharing with you all a loving kindness meditation today. Loving kindness meditation is so wonderful for building more empathy and compassion and connection, both with yourself and others. So we'll also, I'm going to incorporate a little bit of a breath and body awareness and relaxation meditation in this portion as well. So without further ado, I invite you to move into a comfortable seated position or reclining position, whatever that looks like for you in this moment in time. And begin to give yourself 3 long, slow, deep cleansing breaths. Knowing if you hear any sounds in your environment, it's never an interference or barrier to meditation. I now invite you to connect with each area in which your body meets the surface that's offering you support in this moment, whether it's the chair, a bed, or whatever that may be. I now invite you to connect with your breath, just noticing it moving in and out of your body. Maybe bringing your awareness to gentle pauses in between each inhalation and exhalation. Maybe noticing the temperature of the breath. Maybe noticing it's a little cooler on the inhalation and warmer on the exhalation, or something else altogether. I now invite you to put one hand over your heart space, one or both, whichever feels comfortable for you in this moment. And I now invite you to bring to mind a loved one. Maybe that's a person, maybe that's a pet, maybe that's another being altogether. And as you bring them to mind, I invite you to notice any sensations that might be coming over you. Maybe noticing any areas of your body relaxing. Maybe noticing any thoughts that come to mind. Just being with that for a few seconds. Now letting them go, I invite you with that individual in mind, that loved one in mind, to see, feel, or imagine granting them 3 wishes of compassion. Maybe that's, may you feel love, may you feel peace, may you feel accepted and appreciated. May you experience good health or something altogether, just 3 well wishes that seem right for you in this moment. Noticing any sensations that may arise in your body as you share these wishes of compassion. Now with that being still, seeing, feeling, or imagining in front of you, I invite you to see, feel, or imagine them extending those 3 wishes back to you and absorbing and receiving those things with every cell of your being. Noticing any changes in your body that may occur. Maybe a softening or connection of sorts. Now letting that go, I invite you to bring to mind a neutral person. Maybe that's someone that you see at the grocery store. Maybe that's someone that bags your groceries, or maybe that's a pharmacist, or someone at the doctor's office, or someone at Starbucks, or another place that you frequent, or a diner that you might attend and eat. And see, feel, or imagine them being in front of you, and again, choosing 3 wishes of compassion and loving kindness that you feel might be appropriate for them in this moment in time. Now letting that go, seeing, feeling, or imagining now that neutral person extending those same 3 wishes back to you. absorbing them with every cell of your being. And as you breathe in and out, maybe further absorbing those 3 well wishes into every cell of your being. Now letting that go, I invite you to bring to mind your community. Maybe that's the Parkinson's community, or maybe that's the community in which you live, or actually let's do all of it. The community as a whole. And I invite you to see, feel, or imagine extending 3 wishes of compassion and loving kindness. Maybe that's, may you experience healing. May you experience wholeness. May you experience love. Whatever that may be, I invite you to see, feel, or imagine extending that to your community. And as you do so, I invite you to notice any changes in your breath or in your body. Now letting that go, I invite you to extend it even further to the rest of the world, also currently experiencing times of uncertainty. And a reminder as well that we're never alone in any of this. And a connection really to our humanness. Again, extending the rest of the world in this moment in time, 3 wishes. Maybe it has to do with the economy, or maybe their health, or just well-being as a whole. Extending 3 wishes that feel right for you in this moment. And also including yourself in those things. Because you too are a very important part of our world as a whole. Now letting that go, I invite you to return your hands to your lap in a comfortable position, whatever that looks like for you. Begin to deepen your breath. I now invite you to begin to connect to sounds in your environment, noticing both sounds near and far. Noticing how the sounds arise from the silence and return to the silence, much like the sound of my voice. I now invite you to bring your awareness to the area, each area in which your body meets the surface upon which you're being supported, whether that be a chair, a bed, the floor, or otherwise. Noticing each area as you go. Noticing areas of heaviness and lightness. Maybe also noticing how your body feels a little differently than when we began this meditation. I now invite you to connect to the areas in which the clothes meet your skin. Now letting that go, I invite you to gently begin to wiggle your fingers, your toes, your wrists, and your ankles. When you're ready, first with a downward gaze, I invite you to slowly and gently open your eyes.